setting up the 5 megapixel Active Deterrent PTZ camera. First thing we need to do is make sure that the firmware is up to date. Just make sure all the features are available. So just into the menu, into maintain and upgrade. We should be doing this on a regular basis anyway for the NVR when you first get it, or when you're adding cameras. We just go to the IPC upgrade, select our camera to have a look at, and check for update. If there is a new one, it will come up in the latest version here, and then we just do the upgrade by cloud. So once that's done, we're ready to go and set up all the smart features of the 5 megapixel PTZ camera. So first thing we want to do is basically just set the camera to the spot that we want to look at. So if we just left click onto the screen, we'll get the PTZ there. Now we can move this camera around any particular spot that we want using the PTZ controls, along with the zoom in and out as well. So you set that camera to the field of view that you want to have a look at. Then we can right click in to go to the menu and just have a look at the VCA's. So we'll just start with the smart features of this camera. Obviously line cross, intrusion detection, enter area and leave area. They're all based on either pedestrian, motor vehicle or non-motor vehicle, all three. Very similar in features. So intrusion detection is basically coming and going out of a defined area. Line cross, crossing a line. Enter area and leave area. Very similar to intrusion detection, but it's only going to get the detection going one way, either coming into an area or leaving. So I'm just going to focus on the intrusion detection here. We'll give you an idea of exactly how all the other ones are set up. So to turn it on, we just need to put a tick in the box here, and we can go into the settings. Once we're in the settings, we can just draw an area of detection that we want to get. So we can have up to 4 different areas on the screen. So we'll just draw one for now. And again, I can just draw another one, another one, and another one there. So what we want to do there is we can have an alarm sound go off if someone's going to enter this area, enter or leave this intrusion detection area. So if we tick alarm sound, we can then choose what we want the camera to say effectively when someone enters this area. So there's 10 to choose from. You just go through and have a look which ones are best suited for your area, and how many times you want that to repeat. So you must have it on 1 to make it actually work once, and then you can just have that repeat. You can have it say its predefined speech as many times as you like, or up to 10. Once that's done, you just need to set the sensitivity, time, and percentage. So sensitivity is how much motion needs to happen inside this area. Time threshold is how long either a motor vehicle, non-motor vehicle, or pedestrian. We can turn those on or off as we like. Needs to stay in this area before it triggers an alarm, and percentage, how much of this area needs to be occupied before it'll set off an alarm. So if we set 50%, it's effectively half of this picture must be occupied for it to trigger an alarm. So in this instance here, that car there won't trigger an alarm because it's less than 50%. And the priority feature on this camera here, it's irrelevant for this setup, so high, medium, low will give you all the same results here. So under trigger actions as well, what we want to do is record this camera. So we can choose to record whatever camera we like, but we'll see we're on camera 1, so we'll just go to record. Go to preset. If you have another PTZ camera set up in a similar area or something, you can have that go to one of its predefined areas when this picks up the intrusion detection in this area. Preview will bring that camera up on full screen. So if it triggers, anything triggers that particular area, it'll come up on full screen and get rid of the 4 pictures you have on the screen. So alarm outputs, if you pair this with a DOR-IP99, which is an advanced NVR, you can have alarm outputs as well, where you can set off sirens, strobes, effectively whatever you like there. Have it sending an email if you want it to, if that's been set up. A buzzer is the internal buzzer of the NVR. And a pop-up window effectively just shows you the status of what's happened, why the alarm's gone off. So there are a couple of things you can play with. But effectively, you just want to record D1 and hit apply. And OK. So what we've got now, if someone walks into this area for no particular time, and what's it set on, 7%, the warning sound will go off on this camera here for you, and obviously it's going to record as well because you've asked it to record on the trigger actions. Arming schedule, you just choose when you want it to actually activate. So it's preset as 24 hours. You can change the times to work only during the day or only at night time if you like, and what particular days you want it to work. In the advanced section here, you can start choosing the size of the motor vehicles that, or the non-motor vehicles or the pedestrians that you want to pick up. So it says down here the screen is effectively 10,000 by 10,000. So you can set the minimum and max size. So I'll pop back in there. So you can set the minimum and maximum size based on the screen being effectively 10,000 by 10,000. You can actually log into the camera interface and make this a bit more accurate. This is just on the MVR side. It's not necessary to do because you can set the percentage down over here on the home screen. So we can set these to be just as minimum, maximum. You get the idea there. So that's done for that area. So that there has triggered off an alarm, that car coming in, and it's just a siren sound with the warning there going off. So that's effectively it there for setting up the intrusion detection. As I said, the same rules apply for the line cross, enter area, and leave area as well. So we'll pop down to auto tracking. Now, with this camera, you can either have it set up to be an active deterrent camera, but it needs to be looking at one particular spot. Obviously, it can't track being an active deterrent. Otherwise, the spot that you set won't be relevant when it actually starts moving around. So we can change that to auto tracking. If we do that, it'll actually tell you that it will disable the intrusion detection. So we'll hit OK. If we go to settings on here, what we can do is set up effectively a home position. So we can zoom that in or out or whatever we want to do and set up our home position. So that's where the camera will swing back to when it's finished doing its auto tracking. So we're going to leave it on panoramic, and the tracking timeout, so how long do you want it to actually track for? You can set that anywhere up to a couple of minutes depending on what you want the camera to do. Preset just at 30 seconds. So we'll leave that there. Now, this camera here can only track in its current zoom. So whether you've got on auto or current zoom, that's basically reserved for the larger PTZ. You can have it track just on the current zoom. So where you set it, it will track all around wherever you want it to go, but it won't actually zoom in or out on that position. So again, we can set the arming schedule. When do we want this to track? So we can have it sitting on that one position all night and only track during the day, or whatever features you want there. So just OK there. And trigger actions, again, we want that to record D1, which is the camera we're working on. And as described before, you can set up any of these features here as well. So hitting OK. So that there now will auto track human body. So just as can be seen there, then it will return just to the home position that you have set. It's also important if setting up VCAs that you set the recording schedule to suit. So as default, it's set up as motion. What we're going to want to do is change it to either normal, which is full-time recording, or event. Event will record obviously the motion. It's all below the event. So record motion. It'll also record the VCAs that have been set up. So if you're setting these up for notifications, or you want to go back and look at them later through recording, just make sure we're set up on event or normal. So to do that, we just left click, put our pen over the screen, hold it down, and we can change the recording schedule and apply that and copy it to all cameras and all days of the week as well. So the 5 megapixel PTZ comes with two options for nighttime. We've either got the 50 meter IR, or we have the 10 meter white light option. So that 10 meter white light option will obviously emit light from the camera, which will enable the image to stay in perfect color when you get the an image about 10 meters away. So if you're setting up the IR, it obviously switches across to the infrared. We're going to get a black and white picture. It is a starlight camera, so it is going to stay in color a lot longer than a standard camera, but it will switch across to black and white in low lux situations. 0.003 is the minimum requirement for this camera. Yeah, and that will get you 50 meters. So you can choose which one you want to set up. So if we go into the menu and we go camera image, so from here we can choose what image scene that we want to select. So we have general, indoor, starlight, road highlight compensation, good for reducing headlight glare, things like that, or wide dynamic range. So setting the starlight obviously will keep that camera in color for longer. But what we have up here is then the smart illumination. So under here, we've got the two options. We can either have the white light or the infrared. So I'll start with the infrared. Global mode is the best setting. It's a preset set of values, which is going to offer you the best nighttime images. However, you can set it up given your environment. So if you want to get more detail further away, you can start changing the near and far illumination. You'll notice there's 6 lights on the front of this camera. This is what all these do. So if we go to manual, we can then choose the illumination level for close and far. So you can really fine tune how this camera is going to perform at nighttime as to what detection you want to get from specific areas depending where that camera is pointing. This is also very site specific. So you need to tune it basically at nighttime for your best given performance. But my recommendation is just leave that on global mode, and no need to have a bit of a play with it there. All right, so the other option there is to have the white light. So again, the white light will emit two effective white lights from the IPC, from the camera, which will light up the area. And again, this will get you about 10 meters. And same again, we can change the intensity of those lights. But once again, I do recommend the global mode. It will give the best outcome. So you can choose which one is going to best suit your environment on those two there. So under exposure, again, don't recommend changing this too much. Setting for where the camera is, automatic is just going to be the best. So if you start playing with that, you can change shutter speeds, things like that, to reduce ghosting, glare, things like that. This is preset to be the best for most situations, but again, you can go and have a bit of a play. So you do have the two options there for setting up the IR modes. So playing back the smart features of this camera. So from the menu, we can go into playback or VCA search, whatever one's going to kind of suit you best. So under VCA search, we can just go on to behavior. We select our camera. We'll go all. I've only got the one camera plugged in, which is camera 1 at the moment. And we can choose what smart detection we want to have a look at there. So we've got the intrusion detection set up, and object type, we can choose which one we want to look at. If we hit search down the bottom, that will load up all the smart detections it's picked up and tell you what they are on the side here. So motor vehicle, pedestrian, and so on. Alternatively, we can go into playback from the main menu. So that there is the 5 megapixel at night time. Now that's set on IR. Now we've got the street lights out the front here, so that has remained color at night time. Another example, I'll just go back a day. I've got it set up. At night time. So that's it there at night time. I've just removed those street lights out of the picture, and we can see the quality of the image that we're going to get here at night time. So that there is the IR on. What we can do here is under playback, we can go video retrieval. And here we have the VCAs, and again we can choose which one that we want to get. So this here gives the option for the auto tracking as well. So from here we can have a look at whatever camera and specify a date range as well. That there will think for a second. That will bring up all our playback, so we can just go in and have a look at those as to what it's picked up. And again, from there, we can just take that clipping and then back that up into files. So if we start a clipping and end a clipping, it'll say there's a new one there. We just back that up, and away we go.